Ever pondered upon the traditional understanding of Salat? Is it simply a ritualistic prayer as we've perceived all this while? Allow us to explore this further. The term Salat, as predominantly used in the Quran, for instance, Surah 29:45, points towards a connection or dialogue with the messages or messenger. During the epoch of the Quran's revelation, the messenger himself, as noted in Surah 4:101, would lead the Salat sessions. These were not merely ritualistic prayer services, but opportunities to remind and impart the divine messages. Seemingly, this understanding has been somewhat lost in the sands of time. As generations passed, the true essence and objective of Salat have been eclipsed by ritualistic practices, transforming it into what some might label as a mindless ritual. This gives rise to a thought-provoking question. If the Quran, as evidenced in Surah 2:3, does not outright endorse Salat as a purely ritualistic prayer, and if the original intention was to nurture a connection with the divine messages, then could we possibly have misapprehended the true essence of Salat? Interestingly, Quranic references such as Surah 11:87 suggest that Salat could also be understood as acts of reform, not just prayer rituals. So if Salat is not about ritualistic prayer, then what exactly is it? Stay with us as we journey further into this enlightening subject matter. Has the understanding of Salat been distorted and misconstrued through the ages? Let's delve deeper into this. The conventional comprehension of Salat is often linked with ritualistic prayer. But consider this. The Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah 2:177 challenges this narrow view, reminding us that righteousness is not about turning our faces towards the east or the west, but about believing in Allah, helping others, striving for social reform. Could this mean that the true essence of Salat extends beyond mere ritualistic prayer? The Quran does not mention Salat in association with fasting or Hajj. Could this suggest a distinct perspective of Salat, one that is not strictly bound to ritualistic prayer? Over time, the true purpose of Salat, as a means of reform and connection with Allah, may have been overshadowed by the growth of ritualistic practices. As it is said in Surah Al-Hajj 22:37, "It is neither their meat nor their blood that reaches Allah, but it is piety from you that reaches Him," a verse that further emphasizes the spirit over the ritual. This scenario recalls the idiom, "missing the forest for the trees," where the quintessence of Salat may have been obscured amidst a cluster of rituals. We come back to the question, how can birds and individuals in different situations perform ritual prayer? Or could it be that Salat is not just a physical act, but a spiritual endeavor and indeed a way of life? Is it time to revisit our understanding of Salat? As we delve into the verses of the Quran, the sacred scripture of Islam, we find that it does not explicitly define Salat as a ritual prayer. This may come as a surprise to many considering the widespread practice of ritualistic prayer in Islam today. But does this ambiguity invalidate the practice of Salat? Not necessarily. The Quran in 38 verse 24-29 urges us to question, to reflect, and to uncover profound truths. As we examine the lives of the Prophet's companions, we see instances where they were permitted to temporarily forego Salat due to exceptional circumstances. This suggests that Salat, at its core, might not be about strict adherence to a predetermined routine. Instead, it could be about acts of reform and establishing a means of communication with the divine, as indicated in Surah 29, verse 45. This interpretation offers a new outlook on Salat, transforming it from a mere ritualistic practice to a spiritually enriching one. It encourages us to view Salat as an avenue for introspection, for contemplation, and for forging a deeper bond with our Creator. As Surah 2, verse 83 suggests, the essence of Salat could perhaps lie not just in the ritualistic motions, but in the connection it establishes and the reformation it prompts. Let's delve deeper into the possible meanings of Salat, as outlined in the Holy Quran. Could it be that Salat is more than just rigid rituals, but a form of meditation, spiritual connection, and even an act of reform? Consider this. When we perform Salat, as described in Surah Al-Baqarah 2:3, we are not simply going through motions, we are engaging in a profound act of mindfulness, as the verse suggests, focusing our thoughts, quieting our minds and opening our hearts to the divine presence. The Quran also sheds light on the communal aspect of Salat in Surah Al-Hujurat 49:13, fostering a sense of community and unity. When we perform Salat together, we stand shoulder to shoulder, irrespective of our social status, race or nationality. This shared act of worship creates a powerful bond, reinforcing the concept of Ummah, the global community of Muslims. Furthermore, the practice of Salat can have potential benefits for mental health and well-being. The act of prostration, as highlighted in Surah Al-Alaq 96:19, has been found to induce a state of calm and relaxation, reducing stress and anxiety. The repetition of Quranic verses can have a soothing effect, similar to the use of mantras in meditation. But to truly benefit from Salat, as Surah Al-Mu'minun 23:1-2 suggests, we need to understand its essence beyond its ritualistic aspects. It's not about the number of times we bow or prostrate, but the depth and quality of our connection with the divine. It's about the sincerity of our intention, the purity of our heart, and our will to reform ourselves to become better human beings. As we explore these possibilities through the verses of the Quran, we begin to comprehend Salat in a new light. It's more than a duty, it's an opportunity to connect, to reflect, to reform, to find peace and solace, an opportunity to draw closer to our Creator. Let's now turn our attention to a crucial component of Salat: sujud, or prostration. What does it truly signify in the context of Salat? On the surface, sujud is often interpreted as the physical act of prostration, where we bow down with our foreheads touching the ground. This act is indeed a powerful symbol of humility and submission before the divine. However, the Quran uses the term sujud in various contexts, suggesting a broader and more profound meaning. For instance, in Surah Al-Inshiqaq 84:21, sujud is used to describe the sun and moon's obedience to God's laws. Obviously, the celestial bodies are not physically prostrating, but they are submitting to the divine order in their own way. Similarly, in Surah Al-Araf 7:206, sujud is used to describe the angel's submission to God. Again, this submission is not a physical act, but a state of being, a state of total obedience and surrender to the divine will. So could it be that sujud in Salat is not just about physical prostration, but also about spiritual submission? Could it be that when we perform sujud, we are not just bowing down physically, but we are also surrendering our will, our ego, our desires, and our very selves to the divine? This interpretation opens up a whole new dimension of Salat. It transforms sujud from a mere physical act to a profound spiritual practice, a practice of letting go, of surrendering, of aligning our will with the divine will. And in this surrender we may find peace, humility, and a deep sense of connection with our Creator.